2500 BC, the Pyramids of Giza, towering above anything else in the neighborhood at 481 feet. A typical Egyptian house was rather humble in comparison. A pyramid was, of course, not a dwelling for the living, although there are those who think it had uses other than a giant monument to propel the pharaoh into the afterlife. Nothing came close to the pyramids for 2,000 years until the Lighthouse of Alexandria was built in Pharos, Egypt in 280 BC. It almost became the tallest building, but according to scholars, stopped just 30 foot short. It stood tall until it was severely damaged by an earthquake in 796 BC. An incredible 3,800 years went by before the pyramid's record was broken. The giant that went even higher, which looks a bit like Notre Dame, is Lincoln Cathedral in the UK, built in 1311. For the first time in centuries, it pushed pyramids off the first place, climbing to a height of 525 feet. That was mainly because of its spire, but it still counts in our book. Several years later, the spire was destroyed by wind, giving the title of tallest building to St. Mary's Church in Germany, built in 1549. It reached 495 feet high. Sometime later, it was struck by lightning, which leads us to Strasbourg Cathedral in France. Built in 1647, it was 466 feet tall. And before you say the pyramids were taller, the height of the pyramids somewhat decreased due to erosion or some other unknown reason. The cathedral was the highest building in the world until the Germans rebuilt the Church of St. Nicholas in Germany in 1874. It was 481 feet. But just 2 years later, in 1876, the Rouen Cathedral in France had been built. Standing tall at 491 feet, it became the final resting place of Richard the Lionheart of England, and it held the record until 1880, when Cologne Cathedral was completed in Germany. It was 515 feet. Notice that even at this point, all the mentioned buildings are not much higher than the pyramids. Put a spire on a pyramid and it would have been taller than each of them. Speaking of pyramids, the Washington Monument, built in 1884 in the United States, is 555 feet tall. It resembles an ancient Egyptian obelisk. It honors George Washington, the first president of the United States. Not everyone includes the monument on the list because they don't consider it a building, but a structure instead. But we do, and we're including it on our list. It held the record until 1889, when the Eiffel Tower was built in France. After its construction, it was 986 feet tall, and the Eiffel Tower held the record for 40 years. Until the Chrysler Building in the US in 1930. It was 1,046 feet tall. We're not going to say too much about it because just 1 year later, it was surpassed by the Empire State Building, which was completed in 1931 in the United States, snatching the prize for the tallest building from the Chrysler Building and standing tall at 1,453 feet. That's 3.5 pyramids tall. The Empire State Building held the title for over 40 years. The Twin Towers, completed in 1973. 1,730 foot tall, they were absolutely huge. The floor area is 4.3 million square feet. Following the tragedy of 9/11, America still stood tall. The Sears Tower was named by most people as the tallest building, but it created some confusion. Do we count the antennas as part of the building like spires? If we do, what is the tallest building? A lot of candidates appeared. The Sears Tower, the Petronas Tower, Taipei 101, the Canton Tower, and the Tokyo Skytree. However, all debates were put to an end when the Burj Khalifa had been completed in 2010 in Dubai. It's still the tallest building, as well as the tallest structure in the world, and it's as high as almost 6 pyramids. There are some buildings still in development, which are going to be even taller, like the Jeddah Tower. The Middle East is once again home to a tallest building in the world, and it seems will keep being like that for a long time, just like it was at the beginning.